Welcome back to my studio, Overcomers. I'm so glad to have you here. This week we're talking about the topic of trust. A couple of you asked questions related to trust. One was, will I ever trust myself again? And the other question was, how will I ever trust others again and trust that they won't reveal themselves as a narcissist or they won't turn into a narcissist? And my answer was, it all comes back to learning to trust yourself. That number one, yes, you can learn to trust yourself again as long as you keep doing your healing work. And then number two, the more you practice it, like I said, the more you trust yourself, the more you're going to trust your intuition and your gut instinct when you're interacting with other people, and you're going to trust that you're not even going to be drawn towards people with narcissistic tendencies, okay? You might be duped a little bit in the beginning, the first couple conversations, but then your radar is going to kick in, that intuition that you've worked so hard to hone in your own healing, and you're not going to fall into that same trap anymore. So a lot of us have fallen into that trap multiple times because we had not fully done our healing work to trust ourselves. So it all comes back to that. So today I'm going to show you a really short, easy art activity, like really easy, so easy some of you are probably going to blow it off. Please don't. There's a method to my madness here. Again, I'm acting in a coach role here. I'm also a trained and licensed and board certified art therapist. There is a method to this. There is a reason and a rationale behind this and why it is helpful for our mental health and for our healing from narcissistic abuse. So our focus for this art task is really all about trusting our intuition again. I think that is the key. That is kind of the root of this trust issue. So we want to first take the sort of preciousness out of making art. So I always say when we get to a point where a piece of art feels so precious that we can't touch it again, then that's when you need to keep working. You need to get more insight out of it, okay? So that's one way to look at this preciousness, but it also, I don't want you to feel so daunted by the task of starting to make art, thinking that it has to look perfect, that you don't even get started. So I want you to pick just scrap paper. This can be literally scraps, like the back of junk mail is an example I always give, or it can be white copy paper, just cheap printer paper. It could be like a lined notebook paper if that's all you have. I think it's best to work on unlined paper if we can, because the lines tend to kind of inhibit like what kinds of marks we will make. We tend to want to work within the lines. So if you can do blank paper, that's great. I happen to have these little kind of cards. It's like just cheap little paper that's cut into these small cards, and I'm going to work on that because I have a whole bunch of these, and it feels like I'm not wasting art materials if I do this, okay? So again, like, it's not precious. This is just an activity. I don't have to think about it as something that has to be perfect or gallery worthy. You don't have to show this to anybody. Of course, I love seeing you share your artwork, replying to me individually or in our free Facebook group, Women Overcoming Narcissistic Abuse. And of course, in my paid membership program, The Redefined Process, sharing artwork is a part of it, but it's always a no judgment zone if you share it. But that's up to you too. Like, if you don't want to share it, you don't have to. No one ever has to see this. It can go in the trash right after you do this if you want, or it can be very special when you're done, and it can be in a place of honor. It's up to you. But if you feel that pressure of, oh my gosh, this has to look amazing, then like that's not the mindset we want going into this. So we want to just use whatever kind of scrap paper you have, okay? I'm going to use oil pastels today. I like oil pastels because they're a good mix between something like a marker or a pen that's kind of tight and controlled versus like paint that's harder to control, because oil pastels are kind of, you can smear them and blend them. Same with chalk. Chalk is a little more fluid. So this is an old pack of oil pastels. They're similar to crayons if you're not familiar, but they're just slicker. They kind of slide on easier. They get your fingers kind of messy, but not too messy, okay? So I'm just gonna pick a few of these, and I'm literally gonna do some scribble drawings about some feelings. And I'm going to be intuitive with what I choose and not judge. So I'm gonna think about how I'm feeling today. This can be in words, like you could pick a feeling word and then pick a color, or you can just pick whatever stands out to you. So I'm feeling good today, and I'm feeling drawn to kind of two colors. This teal, which I love. You can see a lot of lighter teal colors here in my studio, and then another blue color, okay? So I'm feeling happy. I kind of want to use these two together. I'm just going with it. I don't know what I'm gonna make. I want you to make just some marks on the paper to sort of express how you're feeling. You can think about how you're feeling in your body. Do you have a lot of energy? Or are you kind of slow and depressed today? It could be anxious energy. It could be excited energy. It could be a sense of calm, and that's why your body's still, or it could be sadness or depression. Just think about how your body is feeling and make those kind of movements on the page. So I'm kind of a calmer happy today. So look, you can see my ring is the same color too. I tried doing them together. That was hard to hold them both together. I ended up making a circle. Circles feel very centering to me. We talk about mandalas a lot. I like that for a happy feeling. Now I'm thinking, I like contrasting colors on the opposite side of the color wheel. So I'm thinking I want to add some yellow or orange to this. Orange is another one of my big colors I use a lot. Orange and blue tend to represent different aspects of my personality, so I use them together. And so, okay, I don't especially like how this looks. It was literally just a scribble, but it helped me. It felt good. I'm paying attention to this kinesthetic quality of it too, just the movement on the page. It felt good to draw with the oil pastels. I haven't done that a lot lately, so I just did one. Now I'm gonna pick another scrap paper, and I'm gonna do it again. I'm just gonna kind of go with my gut. I'm gonna go for red this time. This has some other symbolism for me. I'm thinking right now, I just like literally started making marks without thinking about it. It felt like I wanted to make a square to mimic the shape of this, or a rectangle to mimic the shape of this paper. And so I'm gonna, oh, it broke, and that's okay. These are soft, they break easy. So no judgment, not shame on you for breaking and damaging and ruining your art materials. Nope, there's no narcissist here to judge you for that. Nobody to complain about how much money they spent on that for you and you're not respecting it. Doesn't matter. It's your art materials, right? And they're meant to be broken and used up. This, I really like how this is looking, this bright red when I color really hard. It's getting super waxy on there. So I'm just gonna keep doing that. This is tapping more into some, like the energy in my body, because I'm really having to put force. I'm having to use my muscles on this. And that's a very different feeling in my body than just gliding along with my happy circle. That I press down, but not this hard. So it feels like this red one is even softer for some reason. Okay. Oh, but then I saw when I left some space and didn't color it in solid, I kind of liked that negative space, liked having a little bit. So I decided, no, I'm not going to color it in solid like I thought at first. I'll leave that there. And now I wonder, do I want to fill that in with another color? I'm not so sure. Maybe another light color similar to the background. This is a light kind of pink or lavender. It actually has some red already on it. I'm going to kind of wipe that off. So I think I'll fill in this light space. I didn't even need to wipe it off because now I'm getting more red on it. And so it's blending, which I didn't expect, but I'm going with it. I don't think that looks bad. I kind of like that. And I think I'm done with that one. I'm gonna do one more real quick because this color was kind of standing out to me, this brighter blue. And I think I want this to be like an overall faster scribble. Again, I tapped into some energy there when I was coloring so hard with the red. And I think I just want this one to be blue, okay? So I've got these 3 little drawings. You can do as many as you want. You could just do one if it's bigger or whatever, one little one. So I've got these, and I'm gonna get out a journal or another scrap piece of paper. Again, if you feel like I don't want to waste a journal page, you know, whatever, it has to be a certain quality of writing to justify being in a journal, then just write on scrap paper again. I'm notorious for this. I have trouble organizing what I write sometimes because I'll write on anything. But so now I'm gonna look at these and I'm just gonna do some sort of free association writing. This is the basic process I teach in the Redefined Process. Of course, this is an abbreviated version. I think I'm gonna make a list. I'm gonna write circle, and then number 2 is the red, and number 3 was the blue scribble. And I'm gonna, maybe for this, we're just spending a little time. I'm gonna challenge myself to write one sentence, whatever comes to my mind about these 3. I'm gonna put them kind of in the order how I drew them, okay? So the first one, I'm just gonna literally take you through this in real time, what I'm thinking. So for this first one, I'm thinking blue / teal and orange exclamation point, my colors in capital letters, and feels good, feels happy. That was kind of more than one sentence, but it was broken up, okay? So for this next one, so if you've listened to some of my other videos, you know red for me represents kind of some of my pain, like deeper kind of wounds, childhood wounds that have been coming up lately, that I'm just allowing and able to process that feeling. So red, I say the pain, a familiar sight, just what came to my mind. It's okay, I allow it. Okay, so I'm allowing that to be there too with the happiness. And this, the blue scribble, I'm gonna put so much energy was released after I allowed myself to witness the pain feelings. So you see there, and literally I didn't pre-think of this, okay? That sentence just came out of me at that moment, and I got some insight, right? It wasn't just this scribble came out after all that energy of the red one. It was that after I acknowledged this red one was my pain, then I had some freedom to scribble after that was released. So my brain must have needed to really acknowledge that pain today, and come to think of it. See, a lot of this happens subconsciously, but come to think of it, this morning I was actually having some sad feelings, thinking back on some stuff from the past, and I cried a little and witnessed those feelings and moved on. So you know what? I had forgotten about this at this point, but I think that might have been the red and why that needed to come out. I needed to witness it again in a different way through the artwork. And then I was loosened up to do a more energetic scribble and return to sort of more happy energy. So I hope this makes sense to you. I hope this was helpful. And if you're wondering how this relates to trust and trusting yourselves, again, we're trusting our intuition with what we pick. We're just going with it. We're going with our gut. This is a common theme, and I'm going to keep sharing these weekly so you can see what it's like to engage in this process. This is what I teach in the Redefine process. We're redefining ourselves, gradually getting to that point through trusting ourselves in the art process, and that creates this beautiful metaphor where we can shift into trusting ourselves in other areas of our life. So thank you. Thank you for coming to my studio. I will see you next week.